Good afternoon, everybody on the West Coast. And my name is David Elvin, and I look after sales for Joto in Western North America. In a moment, I'm going to be handing you over to Jimmy Lan at Sawgrass. Jimmy is Sawgrass's Manager of Communications and Education in North America. And today's topic is going to be the new Virtual Print Manager from Sawgrass. This new package brings together the PowerDriver and the CreativeStudio software and allows them to be used over multiple different operating systems. So good afternoon, Jimmy, and over to you.
Well, thank you there, David. Good to be here. And as David was just saying, Virtuoso Print Manager will be our discussion today. And pretty much I'm just going to walk you through and show you how it works, as we go along here. A couple of things to understand before we get started. Number one, as with all of our software products, there is no charge for this particular product. You just simply download it and install it. Now, if you have been using our PowerDriver or our Mac profiles in the past, ultimately this would replace those, but we haven't discontinued those. But the idea was to have one print manager that would work with multiple platforms, as well as multiple printers, multiple inks, etc. So I think it makes it easier for everyone when we just have one system. And that's what the Virtuoso Print Manager is. So again, this does work for Mac, does work for PC. And it contains several different things you'll see as we go. It does have color management functions in it. It has some productivity functions within it as well. As David was saying, it works with multiple platforms. So you can print from Photoshop or CorelDraw or Illustrator or CreativeStudio if you're using CreativeStudio. In fact, you could set up one print sequence that has several different inputs coming into it at the same time from different sources. And you'll see what I mean here in just one second. I need to turn off something there in the background. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just start out and just show you something within Photoshop. I think that's the best way to get started, just to kind of show you how things work. So on my screen, you'll see I have a single image, a dolphin image there on Photoshop. And traditionally, if you wanted to print this, you have multiple ways of printing it. If you're just going to print one image, you would just go to File, Print, and send it over to your system. And so we can do the same thing with our VPM. Go to File, and we'll go to Print. And what we're going to see is the VPM, and that's what is short for Virtuoso Print Manager, VPM, easier to say, right? So you'll see this came up as a printer choice, and then I'm just going to click on Print. And what it's going to do is send it to the Virtuoso Print Manager, which will open on my screen here momentarily. Now, everything does run slower on my screen because I'm using a lot of resources to be able to actually run a webinar at the same time as do things like print. So it uses up a lot of bandwidth and a lot of resources. So sometimes things go a little bit slower on my system than they do on yours. So just be patient as we set things up. Here it comes. So the Virtuoso Print Manager opens. We can make some changes to this. You can see right here, there is the dolphin based on some of the settings within my Virtuoso Print Manager, which I can change. It already came in as being mirrored, and of course I can unmirror it if I needed to. Either way, doesn't matter. So we're able to do some other things too. We can set just some parameters to help with color management, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to do it. I'm just showing you as a very starting point. This is what it looks like when it comes in. If we needed to see it a little closer, maybe we actually have a very nice zoom function here, which will allow us to zoom in and see this image in very good detail. I have enough room here on my screen to really zoom in for you and see all the details. So it gives us a nice little preview of what it's going to look like. And I'll show you in just a few minutes how we can change some of the colors and things in it as well. Okay, so this is your basic simple way to get it to VPM. We can do a print, a normal print functionality path. Sends it right on over, okay? We have another way we can do this. We have something called hot folders, and I'm going to show you more about what a hot folder is in just a moment. But I will tell you a hot folder is basically a folder where we apply preset values for the image. For example, maybe we did not want the image to mirror. Maybe we're going to print out for glass or acrylic, where we do not normally mirror an image for sublimation. So there are parameters that we can set and apply to any given folder, even some color management values, such that any image that's placed in that folder, those settings will be applied to the image and then the image will be delivered to the VPM with all those settings being applied. So let me show you how that works. I already have some hot folders set up. In fact, your system comes with 2 default hot folders when you install your VPM. So again, we're going to take this particular image here. We're going to go to File. We're going to go to Save As this time. And now what's going to happen is it's going to ask, where do you want to save it? And I happen to put my hot folders into my desktop for easy reference for me to find. And I'm going to use the standard one that came with the system. It's called Virtuoso Hot Folder. So when you install your VPM, this hot folder will automatically install with its own defaults, which you can change if you wish. So I'm going to select this particular folder, and I'm going to save the design to that folder. And then what it's going to do is the design goes into the folder, the settings are stored in the folder, are applied to the design, and then we'll see the VPM open here on the screen momentarily with all of those images settings applied to it. You can also store a copy in that particular folder, so you can always go back to the folder and retrieve images out of there. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go back and do that again one more time, because for whatever reason I didn't get what I was expecting. So we'll go to File, we'll go to Save As, and I may use actually a different particular folder this time. Oh, I know what happened. Okay, this is my fault. All right, we're going to save it into that folder again. You'll see that I was trying to save it as a PSD, which is a Photoshop file. We have to save as a PNG, a JPEG, or a PDF. So this is my fault, okay? I didn't save it in the right file format, so let me just change it real quick. We will use a JPEG, and now we can save it. This time it should go through the right way. And it should be opening right now. And there it is, okay? So just to clarify that again, you do a Save As, make sure it's a JPEG, PNG, or PDF, and then it will go through that hot folder when you save it to that folder, and the settings of that folder will be applied to it so that when it comes up here on the screen, you're ready to print. Or if you wish to make some changes, you can at this point. The folder contains default values, but you can override those in this particular Print Manager window. Okay, so that's just one more thing that we can do with our graphics programs, multiple ways of printing. Okay, so let me show you another really neat trick too, and then we'll kind of get down into the VPM and see how the settings and stuff work in there. Okay, one of the other neat things that VPM can do for you is what is known as nesting within a RIP, and the concept of nesting is to put multiple images on the same sheet of paper so we can maximize paper use. Now traditionally, if I wanted to print multiple versions of this particular image here, I would have to do basically a copy and paste type of thing to be able to make it happen. And then I'm just going to do copy and paste and, you know, fill up the window. Okay, so you get the picture. Okay, I'm not going to fill this window up, but if I had to do a lot of these images, and you know, really a lot of times the sublimation, of course, you've already applied, you know, a template to it as well. But regardless, to be able to maximize that paper, you're going to either have to copy and paste or paste in a lot of different images to try and maximize paper usage. Okay, with the VPM, it can do that for you. So I'm going to delete these back out real quick and just start with one image. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do just the file print path. So we're going to do file print, send it over to the VPM. And I could set copies right here. I could say how many copies I want of that particular image. Or I can actually do it in VPM, as we're getting ready to see. Well, my system really doesn't like me today, does it? There it goes. Okay, so it came in with that one particular image in there. We can go into this tab here, which is called Jobs, and under Jobs, we're controlling multiple inputs to the system, basically. So you can see that we have one job, which is this particular image, and we have the quantity of one. That's what I told it to do. But what if we start increasing the quantity of this? And I'm going to say, let's do 9 of them. So 3 across basically is what I'm thinking of here. So I said to do 9. Now initially, if you're watching over here, you don't really see anything, but if you look down here, it says page 1 of 9. So when I did the quantity here, it said to print one image on each page for 9 pages, which is not what we want, okay? But you can see if we scroll through the pages how it's laid out, right? Okay, so let's go back to our main page here, and we have a function called group images. Now when I click on group images, the system will now take those images and try to figure out how to place them on the same sheet of paper. Now the default sheet of paper is 8.5 by 11. So it recognizes with 8.5 by 11, we can get 4 per page. And now you see I have a total of 3 pages down here. And each page, as you can see, has images on it. Now, if you have the ability to print different size paper, you can come over to page sizes, select it, and let's say you're using an SG400. That means you can do an 8.5 by 14. So if I go to 8.5 by 14, it resequences, and you'll see that on this particular page, it could fit 6, whereas on the next page, it could get 3 for that total of 9 images that I told it to print. If I was an SG800 user, my standard paper size being 11 by 17, it got it down to 2 pages total. So we have 2 pages total to be able to print this number of images. And with my SG800, if I had the 13 by 19 bypass tray, I could get everything on 1 page. Okay, so that's kind of neat, and this is something that you can always do. Then you have to be the same image or even from the same source. Okay, so now that we're actually into the VPM, we're going to just stay right here and we're going to work with these a little bit. I'm going to start showing you some other functionality that we have. Okay, so what I've done now is I've arranged 9 that actually fit here together on, in this case, a 13 by 19 sheet of paper. We have several different functions we can apply. Now, when we're talking about color management, there's several key aspects that affect your color of any image as it flows through your system. One is the printer being used. Number 2 is the ink being used. Number 3 is the substrate being used. It can affect your image color. And number 4 is your paper, okay, your paper. So those are 4 variables. When you install your VPM, you'll be telling it which printer you have. And by the way, this can support multiple printers. In fact, I think I have 2 printers in here. I do. This can support multiple printers. So you can see in this case, I can switch back and forth. You would then tell it which ink set you have. And again, it can support different ink sets. Okay. And we already took care of those 2 variables. It knows those 2 things right there for the color management process. What it doesn't know is what you're going to print it on. So you can see we do have a selection of substrates and we do have a selection of papers. Now let's stick with substrates for a minute. The substrate function here is connected to the speed function. So speed and quality go hand in hand, and high quality is the default setting. There are certain situations where high speed would be more appropriate. For example, if you're working with t-shirts, it wouldn't even be appropriate to use high quality. You're getting the best quality you can on, say, on a t-shirt when using the high speed setting. So if I click on the high speed and go back to substrate, you'll see there's actually more substrates than there were just a minute ago. In this case, you can see we have polyester fabric and we have mouse pad as well. Why do you see cotton down there? Because I also have the ability to use ChromaBlast. So it's just pulling that out. Now, when I went to ChromaBlast, it didn't give me anything else to look at because it only works with cotton, right? All right, so let's go back to our Sublimation, and you can see here, I'm going to print this on, we'll say, a Unisub product today. If I went to high quality, there would be less substrates available. If I went to advanced photo, there's even less, okay? There's 1. So these things do tie into what's over here, just to be aware of. So we'll leave it at high speed for right now. And what about the paper? Your paper, different papers have different capabilities in terms of absorption and release, which can affect color. That doesn't mean that one paper is bad over another. It just means it's different. But it's important that you do choose the paper you're using. And I'm going to use the TextPrint R here, okay? Your source, most people just leave where it's set. Your page size, you know, you can already see what happens when I change page size over here if I'm grouping images. You can mirror or not. You know, it's totally up to you whether you want to do that. Spacing function is pretty neat. For grouping images, the spacing can change the spacing between the images. So you see as I'm clicking on it what happens, okay? Let's go over and look on the color tab. Now, the color tab gives us a way to make some adjustments in color. And the first thing you always want to go to the color tab and choose whether it's photographic, graphic, or grayscale. Again, this is color management. It's going to help the image colors process through the right way. You can increase or decrease percentages of certain base colors using these sliders. And for example, I'm going to increase the reds. I'm going to maximize it out so you can really see that there's a change there. And we'll zoom in so we can see exactly what we did with our change. And you know, in this case, I happen to know what the original looked like, so there's definitely a lot of difference in that particular color setting. You know, I can go the other way and take out all the red, and you can see what happened here on our preview screen. Let me keep it where you can see it. We'll put it right here. I made those drastic on purpose, and the idea is that for you to make maybe some small adjustments if you're feeling like maybe you just want to accent a color a little bit. A lot of times trying to make something a little warmer or a little cooler is what you're trying to do here. You do have to be careful because if you think about color, if you were to increase your red, for example, it's not just increasing red, but you know, anywhere red appears within a color. And so doing some experimentation, the interesting thing when some of our product development people were showing me this was if you increase your red a lot, it can actually affect black because black has red in it too. So anyway, it is something that you can play with. Any of these things that we can change like this, by the way, we can save when we create hot folders. So I'm going to show you how to do hot folders in a few minutes, how to create them from scratch. And so these different kinds of settings we can actually save so they're always applied in the future when we're using that hot folder. So anyway, that's what our color little tabs look like there. Okay, so we saw material, we saw color, and let's go back to jobs. You saw jobs a minute ago, but I want to show you another neat functionality in jobs. Jobs is where we're bringing in, you know, the jobs that we want to print. We can either import them or export them. You saw me export in, which when I brought it from Photoshop, basically I exported it because I was outputting it out of Photoshop. But I can actually import things from right here too. So I'm going to go down to the plus symbol and click on the plus, and what it's going to do is going to open up my local files and then let me import something in to the system. So I don't really have anything set up for sublimation. I'm just going to bring in a quick photo so we can see it. I'll bring in the cat here, right here at the very top, and click open. And it's going to bring the cat in, and brought in a quantity of 1. If I want to put in a higher quantity, I can certainly do it. And you can see what's happening is I put in a bigger quantity. What's it doing? It's rearranging things across the different pages to be able to actually support all of that. This is where spacing is really useful because you see the two cat pictures are so close together. So we can work with putting in more space. Now when we do that, the system could be rearranging, you know, some of the other designs along the way. But that's a really neat ability for you to be able to import images in from your local system so that if you're getting ready to print, you know, a fairly significant amount, you go ahead and bring a lot of things in together and set them up. And then that becomes really useful if you happen to have the VJ628, because that being a roll feed printer means you have a 24-inch wide print area with, you know, 200 yards of paper there. So you can really load that one up. When you're talking about the SG printers, you're limited by your page size parameters, so your individual sheets. But if you actually switch over to a VJ, if you happen to have a VJ, you would then not have sheets of paper anymore. You would have a continuous roll of paper that everything is being applied to. So you can see there's only one option there, one roll of paper, and everything has been put on there. Take a look at something else too while we're looking at this screen here, and notice the dolphin images over here on the right. Some of them have actually rotated 90 degrees. The system will rotate images as necessary to make them fit in there the right way. Another really neat functionality with the VJ system, excuse me, the VPM system. Okay, now I was talking about hot folders. So let's take a look at how we create hot folders real quick, okay? We're going to turn off that particular print screen. We are going to go down to the bottom right-hand corner. And when you install this, you'll end up with a little green ink icon in the bottom right-hand corner. If you're a CreativeStudio user, you're used to that because you had a little blue icon. And by the way, the VPM replaces the CreativeStudio Print and Color Manager. but as you can see, it works with other programs too. So I'm going to go down here and click on that icon, and I got a little menu in the bottom corner here. And taking a look at this particular menu, let's grab Hot Folder Manager. And with the Hot Folder Manager, what opens up is, let me get something out of my way here, just moving things on my screen. Okay, what opens up with the Hot Folder Manager looks a whole lot like that print window we were just in. But this is an admin folder where what you saw a minute ago, the Print Manager screen, is what comes up when you're actually in the printing sequence. This allows us to actually set up hot folders, okay? Now, if you look at the very top, you'll see where it says folders, and you can see I have 3 hot folders in here right now. The Virtuoso hot folder, which comes with the system. The Downloads folder comes with the system too, and that's for CreativeStudio. CreativeStudio images go through Downloads. Anything else, if you send it over to the VPM, is going to go to Virtuoso hot folders. If you're just like importing it or sending it out through the print functionality, that's how it's going to go. Okay, I've actually created one down here called Glass, but I'm going to go ahead and create one for you so you can see the sequence. So to actually create one, we go to click on the plus sign, and then we click on Make New Folder. And I'm going to go to Desktop and then Make New Folder. And we're going to call this one Acrylic for a specific reason why. Now, when you first set it up, you'll have to go back up here and scroll down, and there's no settings within it. So I'm going to click on the acrylic, and it's just going to open with some default settings in there. Okay, so first thing I want to do is go into my substrates. I'm going to change my speed to make sure they all show up. And there's one that's ceramic and glass, and here's acrylic. So I'm going to go to the acrylic. My paper that I use is TextPrint R. Because the fact that acrylic, we sublimate on the back, we do not want to mirror it, so I would turn off the mirror. Okay, and perhaps I prefer to print at high quality. And is acrylic still there? Yes, it is. Okay, just want to make sure. And then let's say that everything I do with acrylic we think is going to be photographic. So we're going to go ahead and choose photographic. We could tweak the colors here if we felt like we needed to. Over here we have file types, and these are the file types that can be processed. I'm going to select them all: PNG, JPEG, PDF, and Sawgrass comes out of CreativeStudio. The first time you select the PDF, it's going to look on your system, and it's going to look for something called Ghost Script. If you do not have Ghost Script, it will tell you, and it will tell you that you need to install it. It's free, and it tells you how to do it. It's really simple, but you will need Ghost Script to actually print with PDF. The final option over here is called Archive, and the Archive function means that in this particular hot folder, every time I put an image in there, it will save the image if I choose Archive. And even though it's going to deliver it to the VPM for printing, it's still going to save a copy in there. And that may be to your advantage because you can go back to that folder and retrieve it at any time and print. You may not want to do that. So if you do want to save them, you click Archive. If you do not want to save them, do not click Archive. Okay. Once you have your settings set up here and you're comfortable with what you have, you click Save. And we just added a new hot folder. Okay. All right, so let's see if we can find that back here in Photoshop, and we'll go to File. We'll do the Save As, and let's look for Desktop, and there's the acrylic folder. So I'm going to click on it, open it, and I'm going to save the image. And I didn't even pay attention to the file type, did I? Better do that again. Save As. This time, let's do the right file type. Like I said, we'll use JPEG, and this time it should work. Yeah, don't pay attention to anything I'm doing. Yep, I see that it's opening there on the bottom part of the screen. So it went through. Now let's see if things got applied. When it went through, remember in the hot folder, because I put this in the hot folder, acrylic was the setting I used for substrate. There it is. TextPrint R is what I used. There it is. High quality is what I use. There it is. Unchecked mirror. There it is. It's unchecked. And in color, I've done photographic, so there it is. So all those presets have now been applied to this image. Now, if I want to change something right here for some reason, because I realize, for example, it is not a photograph, well, we can go to color and choose graphic, and that's fine. That will be applied to this particular printing sequence, but it does not change the default value in the folder. The next time you use hot folder, acrylic, it's going to have the default setting, which was photographic, okay, until you choose it. Anytime you want to choose it, you just go back down to the bottom. Should I say choose? I should say that anytime you want to edit it, you can edit it. The original settings, you would go back down to our Virtuoso Print Manager, you would go into Hot Folder Manager, and then you would find that particular hot folder, which was the acrylic. If I scroll down, and there it is. And once you open it, you can change those default settings. So you can always change the default settings to save in the future, but whatever's in the default is what's going to pop up in the Print Manager when you send something through that folder, okay? So that's basically hot folders. Now, hot folders can be very useful for people that print the same kind of thing over and over again, where you've maybe fine-tuned it a little bit, especially even with the colors. I mean, because you can make color change settings in there. You can change these types of things too. And you can name them anything you want and use them for anything you want. You could give them customer names. You could be just, you know, I'm just looking for hotter or brighter colors, and call it brighter colors because you've gone in and tweaked this. I mean, anything you want, okay? Just whatever you put in there in your hot folder settings will be applied to the image every time it goes through. And you can have as many hot folders as you want. So hot folders have all kinds of really neat functionality for you, especially when it comes to production efficiency and color management. Okay, so we can also print from CreativeStudio through our VPM. So one of the quickest ways to get to CreativeStudio from where we're at right now is we'll go down here and click on CreativeStudio Designer. By the way, open local file, if I click on that, it's almost the same as using that plus symbol. So let me just show you that, then we'll go to CreativeStudio. Open local file, and you see what happens is I can go into, grab an image, and hopefully this guy, I don't know how big some of these things are. We'll stick with a cat. Sorry, I didn't go preset a bunch of images for you, but what I did was open local, and it, boom, I open it and it's ready to print. So I pulled it in, you know, and anything I want to do here, if I want to add more jobs in, more quantities in, I can certainly do that, okay? Just everything I've been showing you, that's just another way to get an image into the system. All right, now let's look at CreativeStudio. So we're going to click on our icon here, go to CreativeStudio Designer, and that will take us into CreativeStudio. And give me just a moment because it's appearing on my other computer, and I'll slide it over here where we can see it as soon as I get it set up. All right, I'll bring CreativeStudio onto this screen. And so let's say we are going to create something. We'll do something real quick like a coaster, okay? And I'll choose that coaster, and I'll use that one. Letter vertical is fine. I get the coaster, I get my, you know, wonderful bleed lines here, and I could go in with a template. Let's see if we can find a template maybe we want to apply here. And I'll use something like I have so much to choose from. We'll see if we can find a mascot one that will fit that. Oh, yeah, we got plenty here that could fit that. I will use the, I don't know. Let's choose this one. So our template comes in. It's a little bit large. It's into the bleed. I'm going to go to my select all to select all my segments, or all my objects that we like to call them, and center it up there just nice and ready to go. Now, one of the things that we added recently in Creative Studio was the ability to print a reference line, because if you're doing this as a full bleed, and I'm a big believer in full bleed images, okay, and full bleed means that we go from edge to edge. So if we were actually doing a full bleed, and let's just throw something in there real quick, you'll have a reference for where the edge of your image is for setting it up, for connecting up your substrate with the transfer paper. So we'll just go to some backgrounds here, find something I'm going to throw in, which may or may not work really great for us, but we'll use this one right here. I kind of like this look. And there we go, covers everything up. But you see how as I'm stretching it out, it runs into the bleed and then it's cut off beyond there. So let me just stretch that out. This is built in layers. So this just happens to be the top layer right now, that's all. And I'm going to make it where we can see everything else. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move this layer down so that we can see the graphic. So that's actually kind of a cool looking coaster, right? Now if you go to print this, when it goes to print out, what's going to happen is it's going to print all the way to the edge of the bleed zone. Okay, so the actual true printing will be all the way out here, but the coaster itself is only where the brighter color is. Okay, so the beauty of this is when I go to print it, I'll have that extra area there which sticks out beyond the coaster. So when I lay the coaster and the artwork together, I can see some of the artwork sticking out, and I can line it up and center it properly. Okay, the only thing that's going to go on the coaster is this part in here, not that part there, but that does print too. So anyway, that's great. But suppose you were printing something where you didn't want or didn't have the ability to put that particular background in there. So what I'm going to do is just delete that particular background. Go back to, and like I said, I'm a big believer, so I think it looks so much better, and it has a higher perceived value, which means you can get more money. But here we have this, and we don't have a background, so we have no reference for lining things up. So one of the neat things that we've done here is the print functionality for Creative Studio. We can include a product line, bleed line, when we're setting this up. So I'm just going to set this up for printing. Click OK. And if you want to print it, that one image, you'll go click here to print, and it's going to process it. And my system's set up different from everybody else's, so ignore what's happening right there. I have a different path for printing that I created. Well, I said it was going to. There it is. Sorry, it's just slow. Like I said, I use a tremendous amount of resources just running a webinar, and that's why it's running slow. All right, so that single image out there, put it on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I'm going to zoom in so that you can actually see where that product bleed line is, okay? And if we zoom in, you can see that there is bleed reference line marks that represent the edge of the coaster. Now, just a hair bit larger than the edge of the coaster so that you can see them while you're lining the coaster up. So that's a pretty neat feature, but that's in Creative Studio. That's not in VPM, okay? That's in Creative Studio. But I just wanted you to see that since that's fairly new. All right, so let's look at some other, everything here is the same. We brought it in. We can, you know, we brought it from Creative Studio. We can import other jobs to print with it, whatever we want to do. Okay. All right. So let's go back to Creative Studio for a minute, because I want to show you the really neat function in Creative Studio. Everything that we go to print, when we print, it goes to a jobs folder. And I'm going to go to the jobs folder now. So I'm going to go to my name there and click on administration. And the jobs folder is what the default page is when we go into admin. And here, everything that we've created is in here. Okay. I got a couple of pages worth. There's that one I just created right there, for example, okay? And everything's in here, and I can print multiple things out of here at the same time. So I'm going to select that one. Here's the coaster we just did. And I'll do the select checkbox, and then I'll say how many I want to print, and I'm going to print 6 of those coasters. I'm going to take, on the first page, I'm going to grab this license plate right here, and I'm going to print 2 of those. And I have a plaque right here, and I'm going to print 4 of those. So I have a total of 3 jobs, okay? 3 jobs with a total of 12 images between them. So I've set that up, and once I'm ready to print, I'll click on the print button, and it's going to process them all and send them together into the Virtuoso Print Manager. There we go. All right, so everything came into the Virtuoso Print Manager, and when you first look at pages, you see 12 pages. Remember, I told you it was 12 images, 3 jobs. Let's look at that part too. Here's the jobs. Here's the 3 jobs that I just sent all together out of CreativeStudio with the quantities of each one, which can be changed here if we wish to do that, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look. Right now, it's printing 1 per page, and we can just scroll through and see how it did it, okay? All right, so let's use that group images function so we can, put multiple things on the same page. And I'm going to go to group images, and when I do this, I get a little warning down here. It says 1 or more jobs do not fit with the current page settings. Well, let's see. Page settings 8.5 by 11. Let's see. I bet it's that license plate that doesn't fit. So I'm going to scroll through the pages, and sure enough, what's missing? The license plate. License plate's too big for 8.5 by 11. So I definitely have to change paper size. So I'm going to go to 8.5 by 14, assuming I'm an SG800 or SG400 user or 800. Now we can see the license plates in there, right? So now we have all the images, and this is the way that it's been laid out for the system. All right. Now, just like we did before, if we work with different page sizes, we'll see different layouts. If you're an 800 user, 11 by 17, you can see it's changed it a little bit of how it located things together. It has a mind of its own of how it does it. And if we can do a 13 by 19, we'll see it even differently. See, again, it rotated those license plates. But look, we're down to 3 pages as opposed to what we did have, which was 12 pages. So everything that we've already seen is the same. The main thing here on CreativeStudio is we're actually able to take multiple jobs and send them all together at one time to the VPM and then organize them out however we want in the VPM. Okay, so one last thing I'm going to show you on the VPM is the VPM does have printer utilities here. So if you do need to go in and do some different things with your printer utilities, for example, I'm not hooked to the Muto right now. Let's go to this one. It will show you your ink levels when you first go in. Well, I'm not hooked to that one either. If you're connected to your printer, it will show your ink levels. If you need to do a nozzle check, you would do it here. If you would need to do a channel check, you would do it here. Print primary charts. These are things that you end up using in troubleshooting if you're having, color or banding issues or whatever. And most likely you're never going to do any of these unless you're working with tech support. But that's where you find some of your different printer utilities. Okay. So that pretty much shows you VPM. It's a really neat product. It's out right now. It's already out. It's not like coming attractions. Though I will tell you, we do have some more features we'll be adding over the course of the next several months. So there will be some more updates of it as it comes out. Now, if you want to install it, let me show you where you go to install it and what you need to know, okay? So let's go to the Sawgrass website, and I'm going to bring that up here on the screen. And when you're on the Sawgrass website, regardless of which page you're on, you always look for Get Support. Get Support. Click on Get Support. And you will get basically our product support wizard, a little matrix to get you to the right thing. So first of all, you're going to choose the ink that you have. Sublimation HD is what we're talking about here. Choose your printer. In my case, the SG800, but that's the category. Choose your operating system. Again, in my case, it's Windows that I'm using. And then you look at color correction type. And we still have PowerDriver. We haven't discontinued it, but what we're talking about here is VPM. So you're going to select VPM, click Go, and it's going to take you to a page where all your resources are. Everything you need for your system and your VPM is right here. And I always suggest the very first thing you do is go right here to Getting Started. Okay, don't just download it. Go ahead to Getting Started and look things over. Okay, I mean, we do have video resources to help you out. We have a user guide, and one of the things is when you set this up, you do need to configure your design software. So if you're going to use this with Photoshop, make sure you click on this and read the instructions. It's very simple. Okay, it's a very simple settings change, but click on whatever applies to you. You may be using all 3. That's okay, and make sure the settings are correct within your software before you start using the VPM. okay? But everything you need to know is right there. You can just walk yourself through. You can read, some of these instructions here, and then go ahead and install it. I mean, that's the beauty of it. It's easy to use, it's quick, and we have videos to help you out as well. So all that's right there online, easy to access, and all absolutely free. We all like free, don't we? This is on the Sawgrass website, by the way. Everything I've done here was on the Sawgrass website. Okay, so that shows us the VPM. Do we have questions? Well, David, are you still there?
I am, yes, Jimmy. Yeah, thank you so much for that presentation. That certainly explains, I think, everything and the power of the new VPM software. If anybody listening to this webinar has further questions with regards to this, please feel free to call myself, David Elvin. I can be contacted on 1-800-565-5686, or you can email me. And same thing again, it's David Elvin, and Elvin is ELVIN at jotopaper.com. And then we can help you. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. As Jimmy showed you, that wizard for setting up the software is very easy to select and go through and install the software. But, sometimes there are clashes with people's software. And if anything like that happens and it's not working or it's not downloading, just give us a call and we can help you out with regards to that. One other quick thing I'd just like to mention before you all go is Joto is just about to introduce a whole new wide range of sublimation blanks. Now, there are templates on this Print Manager and the CreativeStudio software. There's going to be templates for all of the blanks that we're going to be introducing at Joto. So keep an eye out on the website, because we've got some of them up there at the moment, but we will be adding more over the coming weeks. And if you'd like to see the full range of everything that we're bringing out, we are going to have a link up on the website where you can download a PDF of the full brochure. Now, if you want to get that right now, just drop me an email or give us a call again on that 1-800 number, and I can send you that PDF so that you can see the full range. And I don't know, Jimmy, are you going to do a question and answers before we go, or?
We really haven't gotten many questions. I can answer real quick what has come in. Number one, will this be available as a video for later viewing? The answer is yes. I will process it and send it to Joto, and then they'll put it on their website. And does this work with Corel Photo Print? I haven't tried it on there, or Photo Paint, excuse me, Photo Paint. But yes, it's designed to work with Corel. Again, the key here is you can output JPEG, PNG, and PDF, which you probably couldn't do with Corel, but you could the JPEG and the PNG. So those particular programs, those files, yes, they'll work.
And then one other thing as well is Joto will be hosting another webinar coming up on May the 4th. That one is also going to be at 11 o'clock Pacific, and that one's going to be all about imaging apparel. So please tune in for that one. Jim will be hosting that webinar as well. So for those of you out there that are specializing in imaging apparel, that one would be a really good one to sign up for and take part in. So thank you once again, Jimmy, for doing this. Very informative. And I'd just like to say from everybody here at Joto, goodbye. And once again, if you have any further questions, please give us a call or email me on the email I gave you a moment ago. Thanks very much. Goodbye.
Thanks.